Hi everyone, and welcome to Global Business Evolution, where we talk about the trends, happenings, and practices in business today. I am Tani, the CEO of Human Capital Matters, an international management consulting, strategy, and human resources firm. We deal with everything from strategy development, leadership matters, online learning, and recruitment, to name a few things. To find out more about what we do, click on the link below. I will be sharing some tools, tips, and insights that will help you in the world of business. So, like and subscribe to my channel for all the latest happenings in the business world. Today, we'll be talking about Let's look at some of the general questions that might be asked of you at your interview. Remember that the first interview is your opportunity to make an impression, to shine and set the tone for your time with the company, should you get the job. The way you answer the interviewer's questions determines if you move on to the next step of the interview process and whether or not you receive your first job offer to join the workforce. At the first interview, you can expect to be asked general questions about yourself, your background and interests. This is the opportunity for you to show that you are a fit for the position and the company. Make sure that you answer the questions clearly, concisely, and accurately. If you did not hear the question properly, ask the interviewer to repeat the question. And if you cannot answer the question at the moment, say that you will come back to it and remember to do so. In the instance where you absolutely cannot answer the question because you simply have had no experience in that particular scenario, be honest and say so. At my first job interview, for my first job, I recall being asked a question that I could not answer. And while I cannot remember the actual question, I do remember how I responded. I said something along the lines of, I have never been in such a situation, so I cannot give you any examples, but I think I might have handled it this way. Or, I have never been in such a situation, so I cannot give you any examples. Can I ask what you did or how it was handled or how it was resolved, as I would love to learn from you. One other thing. If where you are asked to sit puts you at a disadvantage, for example, the sun is shining right in your eyes or the aircon is right behind you, ask to sit somewhere else while politely giving the reason for your request. If you are a graduate or someone being interviewed for your first job, you will not be able to talk about your experience in the field or in your field, as the chances are that you have not as yet accumulated the relevant experience. When presenting yourself and answering the questions asked, you can only talk about the knowledge that you have. In this situation, you will have to answer questions based on your current knowledge, your technical qualifications, your academic background, and how you might apply your current knowledge. Shape your answers around your academic career or background. Most hiring managers will understand this, although there may be some difficult people that will pressurize you. In situations like this, do not be afraid to bring it to their attention, but also state how you would handle it. For example, I have not come across a situation like that. However, this is how I would handle it. These are the things that I would take into consideration. Later on in your career, however, talking about your qualifications and technical knowledge could work against you. As a recruiter and an HR professional, when I interview someone who is supposed to be experienced and all they can talk about is what qualifications they have and what they can do, it tells me that they cannot and have not applied their knowledge. I don't want someone with only theoretical knowledge. A degree, a master's, and a PhD are fantastic, but I'm looking for someone who has the proven ability to deliver and has delivered. Talking about how clever you are and what you know matters less than what you have done and what you have accomplished. It is more important at this stage of your career to focus on your experiences, how you have solved certain challenges in your past, your successes, accomplishments, and yes, even your failures. Talking about certain failures is important as they tell a lot of the kind of person you are. Make the focus about what lessons you learned from that experience, what you put in place to prevent it from happening again. Use your failures as an opportunity to demonstrate your problem-solving ability, your ability to learn from your mistakes, to self-analyze, to course correct, to bounce forward, and showcase your resilience. In answering the questions, follow the STAR methodology. STAR is an acronym that stands for Situation, Task, Action, and Result. If you follow this method, you will give answers that are clear, concise, and follow a logical order. Describe the situation or the challenge that you encountered and other relevant important details that the interviewer needs to know in order to provide context for the interviewer. Tell the interviewer what role or task you played in this situation. Explain what your duties or tasks were and what was expected of you at the time. Explain the action or the strategy that you took in the situation that allowed you to meet the challenge. And finally, talk about the results, the outcome based on the actions you took and what your key learnings were. Here is an example of how you can use the STAR method to answer a common interview question. Tell me of a time when you had to deal with conflict. While I was in college, I took part-time jobs to relieve the financial burden. In one of those jobs, there was a disagreement that I had with a co-worker, a fellow college student, which originated from miscommunication. To keep our work environment professional and positive, I knew that we had to discuss it and find a way to work together. I sat down with them one day during lunch. I paid for their meal and took the initiative by apologizing for my part in the whole mess. Now we work very well together. Tell us about yourself. This is a question that you can be guaranteed will be asked of you in some format or other, so make sure you practice how you will answer this. It is an icebreaker and leads on to the more serious questions. People have a tendency to waffle in the answering of this question, so keep it short, interesting, and informative. Do not repeat the same things that are on your CV, as the interviewer should already know what is on your CV. You can share some of your personal interests, such as your hobbies, where you grew up, what motivates you, and a little bit about your personality. Firstly, thank you for inviting me to this interview. My name is Tani, and I have just completed my master's degree in commerce, for which I received a cum laude. I wanted to work in human resources as I enjoy working with people, trying to get the best of people and making a difference. I think that human resources is the heart of an organization, and that's where I want to be. I am a self-starter, and while I am a team player, I can work very well as an individual contributor. I am a quick learner, and I believe that it is important to learn from one's mistakes. I have heard a great many things about your organization. Your values resonate with me, and I'm sure I'll be able to live up to your vision, gain valuable insights from the team, and add value if given the opportunity. That is an example of how I might answer that question. The second question that you might be asked is, what do you know of the organization? Now, aren't you glad you did all that research? For this question, don't just say what you have gotten directly off their website, but try to make references to their media presence, their annual reports, things like that. Talk about some of their successes. Before meeting with them, try to think of some challenges that they might have as a company. Perhaps chat about the CSR initiatives. You could incorporate the question that we will talk about following and say what it is about the company that makes you want to join them. As per the previous question, why do you want to work here? What interests you about this company? Speak about what you know about the company, what stands out for you, what you admire, what resonates for you. Perhaps it's their values, their vision, and tie that into why you want to work for them. How has your academic career positioned you for this job? While they may not always ask this question, this is a really important one to prepare for. Later on in your career, you might be asked how your previous experience has positioned you for this role. This question is a great one as it tells the interviewer about how you think, how you make decisions, whether you understand the role that you're applying for, and whether you would be a right fit for the job. A similar question is, why do you believe that you are right for this job? Here you can bring in your academic background as well as your personality traits that make you the best person for the job. You can bring in the reasons why you identify with the company. Do you see now why I say that you can tie the previous question and this question together? Once again, this question tells a lot about you as a person. It tells the interviewer about your values, skills, and work ethic, and if these match up with the company. It tells the interviewer what you consider to be important and how you think and how you achieved what you achieved tells them how you go about getting things done. I know it can be uncomfortable to talk about failure. You can feel exposed, embarrassed, and vulnerable. However, failure is not something to be ashamed about. Every failure is a valuable lesson learned. How you answer this question, similar to the previous one, can tell the interviewer a lot about you. It once again tells them how you think, what you think of as being a failure. It tells them about your self-awareness and ability to learn from your mistakes. It indicates how resilient you are. Prepare for this by thinking of a failure. And it doesn't have to be one that puts you in bad light, or very bad light rather. What is important is how you answer this question. A good way to start is by defining what failure is to you, and then giving the specific example. Take ownership and accountability for what you did wrong. Do not blame others. Talk about what you have learned from the situation and what steps you put in place so that it will never happen again. Keep your answer positive by focusing more on how you went about fixing things rather than on the actual mistake itself. Showcase your problem-solving skills. Tell me about your strengths and weaknesses. Now, this is another question that is common and it crops up from time to time at interviews. Let's tackle the strengths one first. Here, the interviewer is trying to ascertain whether your strengths are aligned with the role that you are applying for. They are trying to gauge your levels of confidence, and like the weaknesses question, they're trying to gauge how self-aware you are. Strengths can be character-based or skills-based. Another version of this question is, what qualities set you apart from other candidates? And what makes you the right candidate for this role? Try to relate the strengths back to the role that you are applying for. For example, if I was interviewing for a human resources role and I was asked this question, I might say something like, my people skills are my greatest strength. I find that I connect with people easily and that people trust me and feel comfortable with me. I can empathize with people in a genuine but appropriate way, and yet can put boundaries in place to preserve the confidentiality of the information that I am entrusted with. When talking about weaknesses, stay away from personal qualities and focus more on professional ones. Be sure to say what you have done or put in place to overcome or mitigate the weakness. For example, I find public speaking to be intimidating. To help me get over this, I joined Toastmasters and am taking a public speaking course to help me gain more confidence. I have also found that preparation is key to feeling more confident. The trick in answering this question is to turn the weakness into a positive. The interviewer is trying to find out if you have a desire to improve and have put things in place to improve. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Here the interviewer is trying to gauge how long you intend to stay with the company. They are trying to see how ambitious you are and whether you can see yourself achieving those ambitions within the company. The best way to answer this question is to try to match your professional goals with the company without coming across as being false or fake. Mention how you would like to grow within the company. Do research on the kinds of projects and initiatives the company has, and use this information as a basis for the kinds of projects and initiatives you would like to be part of. You could mention how you would like to grow and develop into a specific senior role in the company. Now, even if you do have aspirations to be the CEO of the company one day, perhaps keep this ambition in your back pocket for now, as there's always a danger of being viewed as being too arrogant. I'm not saying do not aspire to that. I'm just saying that information is valuable. Find the balance as to how much to share, and sharing too much could come back to bite you. Give an example of a time where you were in conflict with someone and how you handled it. This question is designed to assess how you respond and deal with conflict, as past behavior is often a good indicator of how you might react in the future. Choose an example that shows you in good light and focus more on how you resolve the conflict rather than on the actual situation itself. The STAR approach we spoke about earlier may prove helpful when answering this type of question. Remember, the STAR acronym refers to situation. Briefly explain the issue you are dealing with in a positive, constructive way. Task. Describe your role in the situation. Action. Discuss what you did to resolve or address the situation. Result. Emphasize what you learned and how your actions had a positive outcome. Another version of this question that you might be asked later on your career is, give us an example of a time that you disagreed with your boss. Be careful how you answer this question. Do not make any derogatory or defamatory comments about your ex-boss, or rather, actually any person that you are talking about. Doing so says more about you than it does the other person, and could be seen as being unprofessional behavior or conduct. I hope you enjoyed that. I tried to distill my many years of experience into bite-sized chunks. Needless to say, the learning never ends, and therefore there is so much more to this topic. I hope that you will join me to explore these topics further. Leave a comment and let me know what else you'd like to learn about. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel.